Hi everybody, very warm welcome. Welcome to another Keyboard World Friday Live, and I'm really looking forward to today, to be honest, because I get the chance to show you something which for me, and I hope for many of you, is brand new. Those of you that subscribe to the magazine can probably remember that last year I managed to get my hands on a Ketron event keyboard to review for the magazine. And what I'm going to try and do today, I'm going to try and be as honest as I can. I'm going to try and be very transparent about this. I'm going to say it exactly as it is. When I got the Ketron event, did I think it was perfect? No, I didn't. But there was something about it that sparked something off in me, and I think what sort of grabbed me about it was it was very different from what else is on offer. And if you were with us on the last webinar, we looked in many ways at the similarities between Korg and Yamaha feature-wise and the way they actually operate. And I hope, but if we're not careful, we end up in a world where everything's becoming a little bit samey. This, for me, offers something totally new and something totally different, and it's great quality. So that was its appeal to me. The other big appeal to me of particularly the EVM, which is what we're going to look at again today, is the fact that effectively I don't need to change my keyboard. I can just add to what I've already got. The box that's sitting at the side of me, you can probably see the pictures, I hope, up on the screen. I have to point the opposite way, so it's that side. You can see the front and the back. I've got an iPad Pro, which is 12.9 inches. It virtually sits on top of the box, so it's that sort of size. It's not a big unit, and you have different ways you can choose to use it. You can either just buy the EVM module, or you can get the bundle, and that comes, excuse me leaning over, that comes, let me switch the screen for you so you can actually see what's going on. There we go. So that comes with a really lovely touchscreen monitor. I've left the cables in just to show you. So you've got an HDMI cable, which obviously transfers the screen onto this screen. We've got USB there, and you need a power socket in. So if you're going to use their touchscreen, which is a lovely touchscreen, it comes in a really nice sort of foldable case as well. So you can pack it all away nicely. That is a great monitor, but actually I've got an iPad Pro. Let me just reach and get this back. So I've got an iPad Pro, which you will see, there it is, and lo and behold, there is the screen that you're seeing coming up on my iPad, and that becomes my control panel. Now, some of you may have seen that I've got a cable connected to the iPad. You don't have to have. You can do it wirelessly. The reason I've got an adapter and a cable coming out of it is so that I can take the feed from my iPad so you can actually see it on the webinar today. Otherwise, I'd be talking away and you wouldn't be able to see it. I've also put a power cable in just to keep the iPad charged through the webinar. But you can do this totally wirelessly. And what does that mean? Well, not only is the box small, but actually if I'm doing it wirelessly to an iPad, I don't even have to have the box near the keyboard. I mean, for example, on the desk that I'm working on now, I've got shelves and that underneath, and I could tuck it away out of sight there. All I need is to set the master volume up. Let's just go back to that first image, if we may, just for a second. The very top image is the front panel of the box, and you can see it's quite minimum, really. You've got the power for your on-off. You've got headphone socket there. You've got an input. Most importantly, you've got a microphone input, which also has phantom power on it as well. and you've got your master volume control. So there is nothing daunting about that front panel. I can just see questions coming in. There's a lot of questions coming in, but Keith, is there any lag? Now, I'm going to talk about that in a second, because actually there isn't. And even when I'm using the iPad wirelessly, I've not noticed any lag at all. It's very very tactile. You press something, it happens. So yeah, you can obviously see on the next picture down, we've got the back panel, and that's basically what you would expect to find on any modern day Arranger keyboard. You've got your power socket there. You've got sockets for pedals. If you are a little bit concerned about Wi-Fi, you can plug an Ethernet cable in. So if you want that slightly more stable setup, if you like, of connecting direct to your modem, you can do that. You've got the little HDMI socket, which you can take into your monitor there. You've got some USBs, you've got the host ports, and you've got the outputs on there, and you've got the MIDI setup. Now, I'm going to play something in a minute because I don't want it all to be talking, but just briefly, the MIDI setup. It was really simple. People get confused as to which way the MIDI has got to go. They think, oh, I've got to come out of the box and into the keyboard. Actually, no, your keyboard, your existing keyboard, needs to send a message out to control the box. So we need to go out of our keyboard, in this case the Korg PA5X, and into MIDI in on the box there. And then basically it's a bit like tuning your television in like we used to find all the right channels and that. You've just got to marry the MIDI channels up. And again, it's really straightforward to do. If I go into menu and I go into MIDI, I'm using the standard MIDI. I can just go to edit it, and it's the receive channels that we need to look at. I've set up the right for 1 and the left for 2, and that's all I needed to do. And then I matched it on the Korg. So let's go into our MIDI section here, and the MIDI out channels, because it's, if you remember, we're running MIDI out. Channel 1 is upper 1, which matches our right there, and channel 2 for the lower, etc. Now, what that means is that I can now control the Ketron using my conductor buttons. And you can do exactly the same on the Yamaha, by the way. I've gone a stage further. I've actually turned the internal sounds off on upper 1 and lower on the Korg. So when I use upper 1, I'm only hearing the Ketron module. To do that, we go into our menu and track controls, and it says, do you want it internal or external? Well, if I want both, that means when I press upper 1, I'll get the Korg sound and I'll get the Ketron sound. If I set it just to external, so if I just turn the volume down on the Ketron a minute, nothing. Even though upper 1 is selected. Bring the volume back up on the Ketron. So I'm just hearing the Ketron. The lower is controlling my left hand and chord changes. And that's how simple it was. And one thing I love about the Ketron, because I'm on a MIDI screen there, if I just press save, it knows I want to save a MIDI preset. So we could just save it, and that gives you your version of the standard MIDI preset. There's lots of presets, so you can have lots of different MIDI setups if you want to. So let's let you hear some sounds first, and then we'll do a little bit more talking about it. It's lovely to see so many of you on, and it's nice to see Adam from Scan with us, and James, who's sort of coming on board with us as well. He's with us today as well. So I'm sure if I'm not able to answer your questions, I'm sure one of those guys will jump on and do their best to answer it for you. Oh, I better not let you see me code, had I? Now, because I'm using my iPad, believe it or not, I've got to read my music off my phone today, and I already wear glasses. This is not good at all, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, got some exciting news to tell you about. A little bit of a tie-up that we've got going with Scan a little bit later on. But what you're about to hear now is totally coming from the Ketron EVM module, and this is a little arrangement I put together of a great Marvin Gaye song called Heard It Through the Grapevine.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There we go. So, a few of the sounds there. I'm using this today in what I'm going to call registration mode, and that's a little bit of what I want to actually show you. Somebody's saying, is that a style? No, that wasn't a style. That was a little sequence I'd put together just to highlight the sounds. we're now coming on to using factory sounds and styles here. What can I tell you about the EVM module? It works in a slightly different way to a few of the other products, but actually, like I said earlier, after a few days, I really started to see the logic of this instrument, and probably above all, I could see the flexibility of this instrument, because what I'm finding you can do with this actually is, I don't think it's an over-exaggeration to say, it's actually blowing my mind a little bit what you can actually do with this machine. And when you start to then think, well, hang on, I can add it to everything I've already got, then to me it opens up all sorts of possibilities there. So let's just a little change of mood. What I've done here, and I'm going to show you how I actually do this, I've set up some registrations. So let's just do the little double push on there. And what it does, it loads 8 sounds, and these are 8 sounds that I can choose. So I've got a little James Last thing here. So I've set up some sounds that I think suit these sort of James Last pieces. But if you wanted to change one of these sounds, it's so easy. So let's say I don't want octave grand there. All I do is hold it, just tap and hold it, and it brings up my categories, and I could say, well, actually, I'd like a saxophone there instead. So let's exit, and it's changed it to saxophone, blowed saxophone at the bottom there. And if I then want to save it, because I'm on the registration screen, save, and it says save registration. Yeah, save it. I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it as it was just for now. But this is great because it means you can set up any number of registrations that you want, and each one of them can be assigned 8 sounds. But actually, it's a lot more than 8 sounds. Why? Because when we look at voice 1 and voice 2, you can probably see them up at the top of the screen. I know it looks like I'm pointing behind the screen. It's because we've obviously got an overlay on there for you. But on the top right-hand corner of the Ketron display, in fact, let me try and make that a little bit bigger for you. There we go. So if we look at voice 1 and voice 2, voice 1, if I actually select it, so let me go here to James Last horns that I've got, and we'll call that up. If I press and hold that, you can now see we're actually using 3 sounds layered together in voice 1. So voice 1 can be 1 single sound, it can be 2 sounds, it can be a mixture of 3 sounds. You've still then got voice 2, which is another single voice, which you can add to it, and then you've got the drawbar section as well. So if we just looked, let's say orchestrally for want of a better term, let's leave the drawbars and the organs aside for a second, we could layer immediately 4 sounds together. Then start thinking about it with your existing keyboard, be it a Korg, Yamaha, Roland, whatever. You can start to add those sounds in as well. So you can really, really get some big sounds. So that's how I've actually done it. And all you do is when you create, we'll probably do it in a second, when you create, say, a layer of 2 or 3 sounds, when you're on that screen, you just press save, and guess what? It saves it as a user voice. And you, again, just build up a library of user voices. If you're familiar with Korg, it's like setting keyboard sets up, and you can then use those with any of the styles you want. But basically, if we go back into our registration screen and we use the voice option, I can now start to play, and I can go through any of these sounds that I want to. So let's just start the rhythm off. I've got it on key start, so it'll start automatically. So again, what you're hearing now, nothing's coming from the Korg. It's all going to be coming from the Ketron. Slow the tempo down a bit. Try and use our little pan pipes. There you go. So just a few James Last sounds there. The sounds are a great quality. They really are. I said I'd be honest and try. Are all the sounds better than everybody else's? No, they're not. Not at all. But you can say that about anything. But there's some fabulous voices in here. And when you start to get into the mixes and the effects, you can create some really fantastic effects on there. Now, time is going to be against us to go through everything today, but I just want to give you an idea of things you can do with this. We've talked about being able to layer sounds within one voice section. That is tremendous, and I'm going to show you a little bit more you can do with that afterwards. But also, the way the styles work is great. So I'm going to take this country ballad here. Now, there are different types of styles in the Ketron, and it's the style section that first really grabbed me when I had the Ketron event. You have real styles, so they have all real instrumentation in. So the guitars you hear, the drums, they are all real musicians effectively playing. You then get a category of live styles where that's a mixture of some MIDI tracks and that the drums will be real drums. And then you get the standard MIDI styles as well. But the brilliant thing is you can mix and match them, because what they've actually done, all these sort of live loops that are there and all the MIDI parts, they've put them all separately. So you can actually say, do you know what? I want that guitar bit there playing with that. So let's just try it. Let's see how it works. So I've chosen country ballad, and if we just have a listen to the style to start with. Do you know, the only thing I keep doing, I keep going to stop the rhythm there instead of on my screen there. So you'll have to excuse me. Let's just put the registrations that I've put with that on, and let's just play a little bit of something. So something like this. Okay, so just playing a simple tune there. What I love about the styles, even the ones that aren't labelled as real and live, they have a live feel. In other words, they haven't been over-quantized or over-corrected. So they've got that very live, flowing, real feel about them. But I said we could edit the style. So if I click on the style, we have something, you could probably see it down at the bottom of the darker blue columns. It says View and Modelling. And that takes us in to the style section. And we can have a look at every part of this style. So if we look at the drums, we can see the real drums that are being used are called Shuffle 110. 110 being the tempo they were originally recorded at. So let's just tap on there. I could choose a different drum pattern from the library, and it's a vast library of live drums here. So I might choose this one, Shuffle 105. And if I start the rhythm, I can just solo the drum part. So let's go back to the original one. Okay, there's not a lot of difference there. There's a subtle difference. Let's try a different one. That's very different. Put the style back with it. And do you know what we've done already? We've created a user style. So what could we do? We press save. And we save it as a user style because it's recognised we're working on styles. You you press save as, give it a name, and there's your user style created. But here's the real magic for me. We've changed the drum pattern, but only in part B at the moment, variation B. I can go to variation A, and I could choose a totally different drum pattern for variation A. I can choose a different guitar part in A to C. Honestly, it is so easy. It's like a pick and mix thing. You just literally find, let's call them loops that work, and you just build up your own styles. If I go into the chord section here, I can see it's using a live guitar. What if we went to real chord here? And look, we've got all these. I've got to be careful because I've got to pick something that is in keeping. So I'm going to look for shuffle. So I'm going to go through to S. Okay, we're getting there slowly but surely. You can see how many there are. So we've got rock shuffles. Have we got? Yeah, here we go, shuffle. So pick something that's around the sort of tempo that we want. So I'll choose that one. I'll start the rhythm and then I'll just solo that guitar. That works perfectly. Add it to our style. We can exit. If it's a little bit loud, then just turn the volume down. It's, to be honest, I don't know anything easier than this for creating your own styles. You can click on any of these chord sections and you can load new patterns, let's call it that, into there. You can do the same with the bass. And here's a little thing that was a mystery to me. I said I'd be honest. I looked at this screen and I thought, you know, I can hear lower voices, and I've got a volume control for lower voices. But I couldn't find where I actually selected the lower voices. But actually, it's logical. It's in the style section. So if we go back to our style and view and modeling, and we've got a tab down the left that says lower, look, there's our lower voices. Now, brilliantly, we can have 3 sounds layered together. And you can set the volumes for each sound. You can transpose each sound. You can even have velocity ranges. So you can have a left-hand sound that only comes in when you press a little bit harder. I think this is so intuitive to use. Yes, it took me a couple of days to get my head around it. But I think the way they've done this is, dare I say it, I am going to say it, I think this is the future. I think what they've done is they've created so many loops and patterns that obviously they've pulled some of them together and they've labeled them as a style. But you can mix and match to your heart's content, and you can create new styles. And it's brilliant that you can create different effects in different variations as well. Okay, I'm probably going through some of this a little bit quick today, but it's just because there's a lot of things. I'm excited, I hope you can tell that, that I want to show you. Let's do this one. It's a bit of fun. Good, the bad and the ugly. I just wanted to put myself to the test, really, to see how easy it was to create splits on the keyboard. So you can probably see from my labeling up at the top, I've got good, bad, split and good, bad, split 2. If we want to have a look at the sound, what do? We just press and hold it, and that will then take us into that sound menu. And you can probably see from the 3 sounds that I've got there that I've got solid body, which is a guitar, and then I've got whistle and shakuhachi, which is an oriental sort of bamboo flute. I've set my volumes, I've set my reverbs, and I've set the shift is the octave, individual octaves for each one. I can pan, I can detune slightly, I can put chorus on, I can decide whether the insert effect is going to affect that sound. But here's what's great. You've just got page 1 to 7. So I'm going to go through to page 2. Now I can set a range for each of these sounds. And it's so easy to do because you say, okay, where do I want it to start? Just press your note. Where do I want it to end? Press the note. Where do I want this sound to start? Press the note. It really is easy to do. So what I've ended up with is this sort of thing. I'm just going to turn the style down just a little bit because I left it a bit heavy on this one. So let's go back here and let's come back to our... So it was really easy to set up. That one I used the guitar on it. So if we put the style to it, goes like this. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but that was just an exercise for me to see how quick I could put a split in, and actually I managed that quicker than I have on anything else so far. My other little test was to check how easy it was to put the velocities in. So I've got one here. Let me just have a look what I called it. Ray Conniff. So I used a style that's on here called Conniff Swing. When you press the registration once, by the way, it highlights it. When you just tap it again, it then preloads the sounds in for you. So again, you can see I've set up 8 sounds. Whether I'm going to use all 8 sounds doesn't matter. They're there in case I need to use them. So first one, I put Conniff Vocal. Really nice sound. The next one is called 2 Brass. Now 2 is the vocal element. Where's the brass? The brass only comes in when I strike a bit harder. Which is great. Now I can do that on the Korg, but I can also do it on here. How did I do it? Well, all we do is go back in, do the long push on the sound, and wait for our sound menu to come up. You can see our 3 sounds under the voice section there. If I go through to page 2, it's the columns in the middle you should be looking at under where it says velocity. The voices, the 2 and the 2 male, work from velocity 1 to 127. In other words, it doesn't matter how hard or how gentle I hit, that sound will be heard. The soft trumpet only comes in at velocity 98. And again, that was as simple as just highlighting that and actually setting a value that you want in there. And once again, what would you do? You'd press save and you save it as a user voice. I will just show you. All you do is choose location, find one that says empty. There we go, number 12. And if you want to change the name, press save as. If you've just modified it, just press save and you can keep the same name that you've got there. And you can tell it which family you want it to go into. So I found this, I keep saying the same thing, but I found this really intuitive once I'd got my head round how it actually worked. So just to put this into action for you just a little bit, let's go back to our registrations. And we'll start like this. There you go, a little bit of Ray Conniff. It's great. I'm seeing people asking whether it will blend with other instruments. I've used it now with the Korg and with the Genos, and because it's different, this might sound a bit odd, but because it's so different, it works well. Because it's not like you're sort of blending like with like. You can distinctly hear the parts from both instruments there. Let me show you something else that I've sort of been working on here. I'm gonna just use a style on here, so I'm just going to load a songbook entry that we've done here. There we go. So I've got a style here called Unplugged Ballad, and I'm using a ballad in the Ketron as well. What got me thinking was, could we use both styles together and mix bits from each style? And actually, it works perfectly. You could, through MIDI, control the clock or the speed, if you like, of the Ketron through there. But actually, what I've done is I've just made a registration at one tempo, and I've made the songbook entry on the Korg at exactly the same tempo. And if we set both rhythms onto key start, then we can actually have the two rhythms playing together. Now, to do this, you don't want two lots of drums, and I don't think, well, I know you don't want two bass players. You don't get two bass players playing in a group together, and they're going to be doing slightly different bass lines. It's going to become a bit of a mess. I know you can have two drummers, but I would suggest, for clarity, just choose one or the other for the drums. I've chosen the Ketron because it's got the real drums on it. So again, if I just turn the volume down on the Ketron for a minute, and we just hear the chord. Now, you're not hearing the full style. If I go into the mixer here and we look at the style, I've actually muted the drum kit and the bass. If I put them back on, but I don't need those, so I'm muting that. And, you know, I could mute other parts if I want to. Now let's listen to the Ketron on its own. So I'll take off the key start there. And we'll start. Oh, turn the volume down, didn't we? There we go. So there's the style on the Ketron. So they're similar styles, but if I use key start on both of them, I've now got bits of the Korg mixed with the Ketron. We can still change through variations on both of them if we want to. I could, if I wanted to as well, I could use the pads on the Korg. So let's have a look what's in there. So I'm using the brush groove there on the Korg. And again, you could do exactly the same on your Genos. The combinations are limitless, really. It's all down to you, really, to do what you want. So, yes, you can run two styles together. I did another one here. Let's have a look. Let's go back into that style just for a minute. I've got an electric piano there on the Ketron, but let me put oboe on. I'm just gonna, because I switched that back onto internal. So let me whoops, sorry. There we go. Just put that back on external, so that on that channel you're just hearing that it's a lovely oboe there on the Ketron. But if I wanted to bring, say, the strings in on the Korg, yes, I can. So let's just do a little something here. So we've got both styles running. Let's bring the strings in on the Korg. So, for once of sounding like a stuck record, I'm finding it easy to use, and I've got so much freedom of choice. Let's just choose another one, because this is a lovely little style. I know this is one of Adam's favourites. It's a little flugelhorn samba, and it's got a lovely little flugelhorn that plays in the back there. And again, it's loaded my 8 settings up, which is great. You've got lots of other ways, by the way, you can use this machine. Performance is another great way of using this, because you can just have your favourite styles and your favourite sounds all in like a matrix there, and you can choose a style, and then you can go off and choose your sounds and things like that. It's just for simplicity today, I chose to use it, and I think I will probably choose to use it in this registration mode, because having the 8 sounds plus anything I want to bring in from the Korg is great. So, look, I've got a jazz guitar on the Korg there in upper 2, so I will probably use that along with one of the sounds, but I'll bring that in a little while. Lovely little rhythm this. Listen for the little flugelhorn that plays like this. It's great fun. I'm having a real good time exploring this and mixing. You heard the jazz guitar come in from the Korg there. We've got some other things here. Let's just do a couple of these others that I've put in quickly for you. This is just a little swing thing, which we can use some organ sounds, some tenor sax. And then I'm going to show you how we can lock those set of sounds and choose a totally different rhythm for it. So... Okay, I'm not doing full performances or anything here, but yeah, the other thing I haven't mentioned yet, and I probably won't mention half of what this thing's capable of doing today, but you can have variations of variations. There is a variation button. If you look just to the right of where it says A, B, C, D, which are your different variations, you've then got a variation button, so you can have a variation of A, a variation of B, C, and in the menu you can tell it what to do on that variation. You've obviously got fills and breaks, you've got 3 intros, 3 endings. So look, I've got some sounds there. I've got things like dance band down at the bottom, but that tempo was a little bit quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press the lock there, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to choose a totally different rhythm. Let's choose this slow big band rhythm, and we'll try that one. So what you'll see now is if I go to back to my registrations, it's locked those registrations, but we've got our new rhythm here. So now I can use these little dance band sounds. There you go. It's great. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I'll show you a couple of other little fun ones I've done here. This is a great little jive And again, I'm just going to load my settings in for this here. Oh, I've got the lock on. That's why it's not loading. Well done. Glad I spotted that. So again, I've just put some things in. I've got some brass sounds. I've got sax unison. Got trumpet swell. Great sax section. Got rockabilly guitar. I forget what rock and roll. Oh, rock and roll piano I got. So yeah, let's just put the little rhythm on here. Just a basic intro. It's great fun. It really is great fun. Just one other thing I want to show you. Some of these styles have like little riff phrases, like when you would use a chord sequencer on the Korg or the Yamaha, but it's sort of already done for you. So if I go into the rock section and I'll go to harmonica shuffle. Okay, now if you don't want to set sounds up of your own, then if we just go back to the main menu, you'll see you've got a voice to ABC. And you've got your 4-1 settings, just as you would have on any other product. What's great is that you can very easily create your own user version, because if you didn't want classic grand, then all you need to do is tap it, and then go through the pianos, and I'll say, actually, what I want is a pop rock piano. It's changed it. I can change the octave using the button underneath, and then all you do is you save, and you save it as a user style, and it saves your 4 voices with it. So I hope you're seeing what I was trying to say at the beginning, that actually, although it's very different, it's very logical once you get your head around it. Excuse me while I just grab a drink. Just to recap, I mean, being able to layer sounds in one individual voice section, bang, that got me straight away. The fact that they've broken styles down into its individual elements that you can then pick from wherever you want and put them in, brilliant. You've got all the usual things, the registration, the performance mode is great because you can just use boxes on the screen to have all your favourite sounds on there if you want. You've got transpose, you've got octave shift, either overall or in individual sections. I like the way that the sound menu works, that you just go through the 7 pages one by one. Let me just show you, because I feel this is important to show you this sort of thing. We can just choose this piano for a second. So let's do our hold on it. You can, first of all, on the first page, you can see what sounds are being used, and you can add or change as you wish to. Page 2 is where we've already seen we can set the range for each sound, the velocity if we want to. I'm going through this very quickly. The third page, it's not relevant for a piano, but you could have portamento, which is like the little glide. You could have legato. You can decide whether something's mono. Importantly here, which on other machines you have to go into menus to do, but it's part of the sound setup. Is this sound going to be affected by the sustain pedal or the expression pedal? It's on or off. It is that simple. We go through to page 4, and we can decide what the modulation wheel does and how much vibrato that adds. Or you can use it as FC, which is filter control. So if you want to actually alter the sound a little bit, you can do. Go through to page 5. This is where you find the harmony section, the right-hand voices. And what I found out only the other day, actually, if you want the harmony to come on as part of a registration, you just press Auto Tab, and then when you call up the registration, that harmony will be on, and you can decide which sections are affected by the harmony, and you can select the type of harmony. You go on to page 6, and there's our usual voice edit. Attack, decay, sustain, and release, and then we've got various filter controls to adjust that there. And then you go through onto the final one. Again, not relevant for a piano, but if you're using a solo instrument, you can actually adjust the vibratos and the delays and things like that. So I think that's been really, really well thought out. Back to the plot. Let's try this little harmonica shuffle. The little riff, and it's a 24-bar riff, comes only on variation D. So A, B, and C you use as a conventional style. As soon as you get to D, it says bar 1 of 24. It's because it's for 12-bar blues. So in other words, it's going to go through twice. That's basically what it's saying. So let's see what sounds we've got. Let's choose that. And I'm going to choose that so I can just see what sounds we've got. There we go. That's it. So let's give it a whirl. And put our voices on here. So we'll start with our piano. Yep, got an organ ready. That's all I need. So let's give it a try. Let's try our little riff. Chord changes are happening for me. Back to our ordinary style. So it's great, you know, if you want to practice playing your 12-bar blues, you can actually just set it to D and just sit and play away. Obviously, the first chord that you play will determine the key it's gonna do here. Yeah, somebody's saying plenty more videos. There will be. Today was about a taster, not just for you. It's for me as well, because Yes, I've had it about a fortnight, but obviously I've had other things to do in between. I just wanted to show you an overview of how this works. Of course, we're talking about the EVM module. You can get this in various forms. There is the event keyboard, and there is also the Event X module, which is a more traditional module. So the buttons are actually on the panel of the box. Obviously, it's a much bigger unit, but if that's the way you want to work, I just chose this because I am actually short of space in here. As my wife will tell you, I'm surrounded by keyboards ever growing each week. And this has enabled me to add another keyboard to the mix, but literally just in the form of a box there. Just a couple of other little things. If we go back to our main screen, I mentioned there was a drawbar section. If we just click on the drawbars here and we go to view, there we can see our drawbars, okay? And you can set the drawbars to whatever you want. We've got overdrive, we've got key click, we've got reverb. We can go in and we can alter all the parameters of the rotary speaker, the high rotor, the low rotor, sound reflections, how the sound is responding in the room, etc., etc. We've got percussion attack. And again, dare I say it, this is so simple to use because you can have your own set of organ presets. So if I choose one here, one that I'm not using, I'll go to organ 8 here. So I've selected it. Just put a little bit more on there. Now, if I go to view, I can see what that current setting is. If I want to alter it, let me put a little bit of drive on the high end there, just to beef it up a little bit. Let's put some of that on. Okay, I want to save that. Just like I said before, because you're on an organ screen, it will know automatically you want to save this organ sound. So I press the save button, save organ 8 to organ 8. I've updated it. Yeah, save. It's done. So whenever I call up organ 8 in future, that will be my setting. And as you saw from the main screen, you can have it's 8 of them there already at the touch of a button. Obviously, you can manipulate the drawbars while you're playing live if you want to as well. So that is a very, very brief scratch the surface of what this will do. What I am going to do, like I said, I'm going to prepare 3 different videos for YouTube on how, a bit more in depth than I was able to go today, how to connect to a Korg, how to best connect to a Genos, because there are different ways. It depends how you want to use it. For example, I've chosen to switch up a 1 off. On Yamaha, that would be called switching the local off. I could have left that on, but it just means I can't use the EVM independently. Doing it the way I've done it, if I just choose upper 1 and lower and they're set to external, I can just use the EVM in its own right. And I can still use upper 2 and upper 3 to blend in some Korg sounds. And as you've seen, you can blend in the Korg rhythms as well. I said there was a little bit of information. We are now officially an affiliate dealer for Scan. Adam, who you will have seen on the webinars with me, I've known Adam a long time from his days at Korg, and we've always kept in touch. And Scan are now officially the UK distributors for Ketron products. And he obviously, Scan Pro Audio, there's not many things they don't sell. So what Adam has set up for us is basically that we can be an affiliate dealer. So if you look at the text, for example, under the YouTube video, when this goes up straight after the webinar, you will see there are some links there. If you click those links, it will take you through to Scan Audio to show you more about the product. But the mere fact that you've gone from our link obviously benefits us as a company. I'm sure you all understand that. You will be buying it from Scan Pro Audio, so all the backup will be done through Scan Pro Audio. But obviously we're here as well to help. We're always at the end of a phone. I'm always in a position, if somebody buys an EVM and they need to know something, within 5-10 minutes I can usually set a camera up and record a quick video and send you the video. It's often the quickest and the best way to respond to that sort of thing. I really hope you've enjoyed this today. I've really enjoyed presenting it, and I hope that's sort of come across as well. This is very early days for me with this, but keep watching YouTube and Facebook. As I find new things, I'll be passing the information on, and I think maybe we'll be doing another couple of dedicated webinars where we can go into a little bit more detail. I can show you how we go about setting registrations up. Honestly, it's not difficult to do at all. So I'm going to leave you with one more bit of music. This is another one where all of the sounds you're hearing are coming from the Ketron, but I've put a little sort of backing track together using the Ketron, because that's, well, you know, that's what I enjoy doing as well. And this is a great Stevie Wonder song, and it's a little thing called Isn't She Lovely? And as I say, listen to the sounds, because all of the sounds are coming from the Ketron. I just need to load that up there. There we go. Just to also let you know about future webinars, there will be nothing next week, because with a bit of luck and a following wind, I shall be in my place in Spain just for a few days break. So nothing next Friday, and although I haven't officially planned anything, there will be definitely a webinar the following Friday. So a week next Friday we'll be back. I'll be back on the Monday morning, so I'll try and put an email out there to all of you. And all I'm going to say is, if there are things you want us to cover in future webinars, please, you know, drop us a line, and look forward to seeing you all on the next one. This is my version of that great Stevie Wonder song, and it's a little thing called Isn't She Lovely?
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
we go. A little bit of Stevie Wonder to finish with. I truly hope you've enjoyed that first little preview of the EVM. Get yourself over to Scan Pro Audio. Have a look and have a look at the whole spec of these instruments. And I look forward to seeing you as soon as I return from my little trip. So that's a week. Next Friday, I'll be back with you, but I'm sure I'll be in touch with you before then. Thanks for watching again, and bye for now.